Well, I think it's time to take a tour of the jungle. I think we've kind of avoided showing it this year because it is so behind and so out of control already, and we're not even July. Let's go take a look. Well, guys, this is really kind of our first big tour for this year. We did have a little one earlier in the spring showing a few things that we had going, but I'm not going to cover everything. I'm just going to cover the highlights because there's a lot going on. There's also a lot that is failing, and I'm going to touch on that first. We did not plant peanuts. Our squash is doing awful between bugs, dry, and just being late planted. Hopefully we get something because you know how we feel about squash, but there are some things that are doing fantastic this year. So we're going to focus on those for this tour and not worry about the stuff that's not doing so well. But here we go. Seeing as I'm standing right beside the greenhouse, look at these Jerusalem artichokes. We transplanted these from one of our blue barrels and look at them go. I can't get over how amazing these are, and after a taste test, definitely going to keep going with this. So I'm so glad they're so prolific because I think this is going to be one heck of a crop for us this year when other things might be a little slim. One thing you're going to see on this tour a lot is weeds. Grass. We are so behind, and I had the best of intentions this year. I see I've got to get some flowers plucked off my cilantro there, but my basil's coming along amazing. I've been pinching the tops off of these to try and get them to be more of a bushy plant because I didn't get that many to start, but so far it's looking really good. But look at this red fire lettuce. Thanks to Miles for sending us the seeds for those. It's definitely become one of our favorite, and we've got a whole bunch more in a different garden. Next to it here, we have some volunteer of our red romaine, Rouge Riviere, and that's not going to be allowed to go to seed because we're hoping to get some seeds from that red fire lettuce you just saw. Lettuce is the one thing that we are doing amazing with this year. Look at these romaines. Look at this. And it's solid. It's solid in there. These are just gorgeous, and they're keeping so well. I am going to have to pluck them out of here soon because I do think there is a tendency to bolt quickly when it does happen. But they're in a bed full of dill, which hopefully is helping to keep the bugs away. We planted a bunch of celery in there, our pink celery. The dill is all volunteer, and it really needs to go. That's next on the agenda because I've actually been feeding it to the rabbits because I'll take you over to my cucumbers, which are not doing so hot this year. So I don't know if I'm actually going to need the dill, but it's certainly growing like mad in this bed. We've kind of kept it under control everywhere else. And also in this bed, and on the other side of the arch, we've got Bama's beans. This side's not doing as well, but I think that's just because there was so much dill. I started really, you can see here, I started thinning it out more around the beans. And I probably will just pull all this stuff in the front here shortly. I've already dried almost a whole liter of dill weed, which we love for our ranch dressing. That's another one that we did do a video on, so I'll link that above. Grapes, still not planted. We're not even going to talk about that. But here's the other side of that trellis with the Bama's beans, and you can see they are nicely climbing. They're doing really, really well, and they've got the lettuce still in front as well. Oh, I see there's a few here that need to be attached to the thingy. I'll have to grab them, but you can see nothing's planted behind them, and I think that's why this side here, you can see, look at the growth on that because it gets so much beautiful sun. We've just kind of crowded things a little bit, but that's how we roll. Next to this, we have a bed of red Russian kale. Needs to be weeded a little bit, but you know what? It's doing okay. I've been harvesting off this for salads and things, and it's been amazing. This will be our bed that we cover for winter next year to hopefully get seeds the following year, because right next door to it here, you can see we've got our dwarf curled Scotch kale, and it is doing amazing on the seeds. We're going to have so much seed for doing sprouting over the winter time. We had a huge container of red Russian kale, which we've barely managed to get through any of it. And now we're going to have a huge container of this kale. Go figure. And down here, we have our scarlet runner beans. They're struggling a little bit with these big kale plants. I will pull those probably because I think we don't really need the seed off of them. But don't tell Chris I said that. And next to that, we have our cherry tomatoes. These are gray sweet cherry. And although I only planted 3, we have a gazillion volunteers. As hard as it is to believe, in here is deer tongue lettuce. It's actually, because it's so shaded and crowded, it's going really, really slowly, which is nice. I haven't actually even tried it. Tastes like lettuce. Chris doesn't like that one, but I bought the seeds, so we're trying it anyways. Yeah, I don't mind it. It's a little bit thicker, more like a romaine kind of taste to me than leaf lettuce, but anyways, it's struggling in there, but it's still growing. Onions, onions, and more onions. We've got onions kind of tucked everywhere. There's some in the ground, some in the barrels. It's been a good year for getting the onions going, so hopefully we see some amazing stuff this year. My carrots, we are not good carrot growers, so I'm really hoping for something from these guys this year. For the amount of seeds that I put in, very few carrots, but I don't know, we're just not good at growing carrots. Celery. There's lots of celery tucked in places too, because Chris planted a whole packet. Now this year we've decided to try 2 different kinds of beets. These ones here are golden beets, and in this tub over here we have cylindrical beets. We're giving them both a try because we don't want to grow both, but we want to see if either of them is an improvement for us over the Detroit red beet. We'll see. We've got another thing of carrots there. My parsley is looking fantastic. Got a weed in there. Maybe we'll just quickly pull that while we're here. Oh gosh, there's a whole bunch of them in there. Ooh, look. Where'd he go? Can I see him? Look at that one. I wonder if that's a swallowtail. Might be. Gonna leave him. On here, this trellis, we have the red noodle beans. Love these beans, and I did not grow them last year, but they freeze amazingly, and I found out when you can them, they're not the squeaky kind. So definitely we're upping our growth of these anyways this year to try and get some more for preserving. On the other side of that same trellis, well, let's move the pot plant. Let's pull that out. On the other side of this trellis here, we've got more noodle beans, and then we have our yellow pear tomatoes in the center. And what I'm hoping is we only did 2 this year instead of 4, because I still have lots left from last year, but I've been trying to remember to get over here and weave these through. But I still need to come and take off the suckers at the bottom. It's on the to-do list. And as you peek through there behind, you can see all of my butter crunch lettuce is about to go. The one thing that I really like about butter crunch lettuce though is you can still eat this even as it starts to bolt. We have found that it stays tasty. It doesn't get very bitter. It still works for us. Now maybe we're just not very picky, I don't know. But as you can see, and this isn't even all the lettuce, we still have a lot of lettuce in the garden that needs to get eaten before it all goes to waste. It won't go to waste. We'll feed it to rabbits. But scattered in here you can see the dwarf curled Scotch kale for this year. That will really open up once we pull these lettuces out. And next door to those, we have the lettuce that we received the seed from Kendra at Plowman's Backyard, and it is doing amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm gonna be terrible and forget what kind it is. Where's my little sticker? Where's my tag? Buried somewhere in here. Here it is. There it is. The Devil's Ear from Kendra. So this is doing incredible. It got a little bit burnt with the heat, I think, but we need to start getting some of that pulled out as well. We can't actually eat this much lettuce. Now on this trellis, our yellow pole beans are doing amazing. They're just climbing. Look at them go. They're almost up to the arch part. And on both sides are doing really well. But same sort of situation. These have nothing planted at the bottom around them, and they are doing much better. Well, here you can see our turnip seeds are almost going to be ready soon. We did have to strap these up because, boy, there's a lot of weight there. Just put you up higher there so you can really see it. There is a lot of seeds here. Our garlic, doing fantastic. We're about a month away probably from harvesting that. It's already browning quite a bit, which I think is earlier than last year, but I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Just some of the potatoes. This is a row we tested. We're experimenting with. We planted this early, much to Chris's dismay, because he likes to plant things a little bit later for bug purposes. But I did one row, planting it early, and we're going to see what happens. Our snap peas, we've got two 16-foot rows, a little bit longer than 16-foot rows. They're doing amazing. They've actually just started to blossom, so I really hope that this heat that we're starting to get now doesn't hinder the development of these, because sometimes we do the Amish snap peas, and sometimes they can get a little bit, the skin gets firm really quick when it gets warm. I don't know if all snap peas are that way, but we do find it with these ones. But the nice thing is you can still use them as dried, and we can always plant more in the fall. But hopefully we still get a decent harvest to chuck in the freezer and enjoy fresh. Weeds. We had the best of intentions of getting this all cleared out to plant all of our sugar beets and things like that. And as you can see, it's not happening. This is a 6 foot, well, almost 6 foot high jungle. But look at how good I'm doing at keeping this side. Oh, this is looking great. Scotia tomatoes, we only had 4 from our first planting of seeds come up, but we do have another 12 coming that are going to be put out shortly here. They're just hardening off now. So they'll be a bit later and not produce as much, but these plants are coming along nice now that we're starting to see some heat. And next to them, we have our eggplants, cabbage, more potatoes, tomatoes on that trellis, and then I'm going to show you. Look at the cute little silky chickens. Not what I was coming over here to show you, but they are so cute. My cucumbers. So there was originally 10 here. I'm down to 4. There's a 5th one that is kind of struggling, but I think he's going to die. I have replanted these 5 times now, thanks to raccoons digging them up. I don't even know why they want to dig them up, but that's what's been happening. And over here, just through that fence, this is a little pen that we had for, we actually had sheep in this last fall, one of our breeding groups. But this is where all our peppers are, and I've got to get cages on these and before they get too big. But I'm pretty confident. I'm really actually worried. Well, okay. I'm a little bit worried because of these trees here that this was not the best spot to plant our peppers. It is quite shady in the afternoon. It does get decent midday sun, but I don't know if it's going to be enough for these guys. So fingers crossed. They do have some peppers already developing on them, but they're very, very short. I actually have peppers still in the greenhouse for another double row to go here, but I have not gotten to it yet. So we'll see. They'll be really behind. But the nice thing about these totally sweet Italian peppers is that you can eat them green if they don't get time to ripen. So the skin's just a little bit thinner, but they still taste good, which is important. Garden cat. How you doing, Ivy? Kitty, 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 kitty. Ivy Lee. Oh, she's sleeping. So that was garden 1, the one by our greenhouse right out front of the barn. It's kind of been the main one this year that we got developed pretty quick and early, especially those raised beds. They're full of stuff and definitely producing some good food. We've got a few other little tidbits and herbs and things that I didn't show, but got to save some stuff for the next tour, right? So here you can see our location. We are right off the side of the barn, and there's weeds. I have been working away at this, but I haven't managed to get it all finished yet, but it's coming along. Right here we have my Palestine, I never say it right, tomatoes. I actually ended up with planting 20 of these this year. For this year, my main crop is going to be paste tomatoes, because I had a lot of product that I needed to replenish in the pantry for that. Ketchups and sauces and good stuff like that. So that's why I'm all San Marzanos and Palestine tomatoes. And over here we have hills with the yellow crookneck summer squash and Yukon Gold potatoes. You can see they are trying, but I have been squishing squash bugs and cucumber beetles like mad on these. So hopefully we do actually get something. We lost quite a few of the plants, so we'll have to see. Yeah, see, there he is. Look at that squash bug. Ugh, squish him. I don't know. They really killed it back at the beginning. I seem to have managed to kind of blitz out the cucumber beetles pretty good. There's another one. Squish. We really don't want to have to spray, so squishing it is. Squish. There's a lot of them in here. This little row here is mung beans we're trying. Again, this will be for the purpose of sprouting over the winter to have a bunch of mung beans. Yes, we could buy them, but this is a fun little project of trying to see if we can just grow them ourselves. These actually are from store-bought seeds. So Chris has a video kind of in the works showing this beginning to end process with these. So stay tuned for that this fall. Wheat. I'm not so sure on Chris's method this year, but we're going to try it and see what happens. I think we should have thinned it out. We actually both said that in the end. This has been eaten twice by the geese. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with our red fife wheat, but we should get something to at least plant it again next year. More potatoes. These are our all blue potatoes. Those other ones that I showed you were our all reds. And then the other ones were actually Violet Queen, which is a new one for us for this year. So I'm excited to try that one. But here you can see the all blues were the one that we were really trying to up our numbers with this year. And I think we've succeeded. Those are some good rows. And here, now these are something that I'm super excited about. These are the Manitoba tomatoes, which we received through the Canadian Seed Challenge from numerous people actually. And we've got 9 plants here that are going. That's all we started. All seeds came up, which is fantastic. So I'm hoping they're going to be very similar to the scotias, since I do not have a lot of scotias this year, but we'll see. So basically that's our 2 main gardens right by the barn. Then we've got the big new for 22. That's what we now call it all the time, is new for 22 garden, which is behind the barn here. And I'm just going to kind of give you some drone footage of that as we go through. The 2 big mounds, they had our squash in it and we're just having some trouble. We were trying something new. It's not working, but that's okay. We have lots of seeds for future years and there are still plants growing. It's just a question of how well they do. Then we've also got, this is the garden that has all the San Marzanos. And then we've got a few beans on our trellises. We've got the zinc bean, the red cranberry bean, and also the Cherokee Trail of Tears black bean. So those are on our 3 little L trellises. And then basically scattered amongst, we have a whole lot of potatoes, because potatoes is definitely a staple, because guess what else we didn't do this year? Sweet potatoes. So we're really bringing it down. But we've got a big gap up at the front there that's full of weeds right now that is going to be some more tomatoes and also millet. Millet is something that we really increased this year, and maybe at the end of the video I'll just give you a sneak peek in the greenhouse because it's doing really, really well. So we'll pop over there next on our way out. So as you can see in here, there's still a lot of stuff to get into the gardens. We've got more coriander and lettuces to replenish these ones that we're going to be pulling out. Eggplants, because that was an experiment gone so wrong. There's the rest of my tomatoes that I just brought out. As you can see, they're still pretty small, but to be honest, I'm not even going to bother to up pot them. They're just going to go straight out once they've hardened off a little bit more. Rest of the celery, we've planted a lot of celery. Peppers, they've got blossoms on them in here, which is fine. Toothache plant, that's still got to find a home. Thank you, Angie. And then we've got some flowers. But what we really came here to look at is the millet. There we are. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4 buckets of millet. And we're going to spread these out a lot more than what we did with the wheat. We're going to actually divide it up into chunks and make multiple rows. Learning curves, right? And the other thing that is still in the greenhouse is the Kajari melons and the sugar baby watermelons. So not sure if we're going to get anything from those this year because we are way behind, but we just don't have a trellis up right now to get going on it. Maybe this weekend. It's only going to be Canada Day on July 1st. It's not too late. So I hope that you enjoyed the first tour of this summer here at Hickorycroft Farm. Don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe, because we'll be keeping you updated on this garden, hopefully throughout the season. We've already got a lot of stuff that I think needs to be pulled out and swapped around and eaten, if nothing else, right? So we definitely have to get going on that, but there'll be more to go out and more to get growing, because hey, fall crops will come soon too, and we need to get those started.